During the summer of 2018, we took venture on a meander around southeast Alaska, covering some 3,800 nautical miles over 3.5 months. We went wherever our fancy led us, and a series of videos illustrate the highlights of what we saw along the way. This chart illustrates our wandering course. Continuing north from Prince Rupert, we crossed the border from Canada into Alaska in the middle of Dixon Entrance, the second major spot where the inside passage is exposed to the open Pacific Ocean. Ketchikan is a major port of call for cruise ships. They tower over the shoreside buildings and disgorge literally thousands of visitors. We try for a berth in the downtown harbour, but venture is too large for the available slips. We move to Bar Harbour outside of town and take a vacant berth among commercial vessels. Here we are subject to customs and immigration inspection. Predictably, it is raining. Ketchikan averages 140 inches per year. After one day, we move on to the small hamlet of Meyers Chuck, 40 miles north of Ketchikan. We tie up at the free government dock. Smoke issues from the chimneys of the personal cabins that overlook the inlet. You can only reach this spot by boat or float plane. The last de Havilland Beaver came off the production line in 1967, so this plane must be at least 50 years old, and probably much more than that. It seems that no better design has surfaced since that time. I'm always impressed by the skill of the pilots coming alongside with the engines switched off. The population of Meyers Chuck swells to maybe 20 in the summer months, but drops to less than 5 during the winter. Departure is a casual affair. The ramp down to the dock is long and very steep at low tide. It is Memorial Day, and we are fortunate to be invited to pizza night at a cabin belonging to a Ketchikan doctor. Like most cabins, this was self-built, including driving the pilings. Just bring your own pizza toppings and booze.
So is this little bag of prawns, is that wonderful? Yeah, January on Kauai. Came back in February.
The post office across the water is accessible only by boat. The mail plane arrives every Wednesday, and a flag is raised on Thursday when the mail is sorted and ready for pickup. We enter the narrow, twisting Wrangell Narrows with its 62 navigation beacons over its 22-mile length that vary wildly in size and type. Strong tides flow in and out at both ends. It is with us as we enter at the southern end, which means it'll be against us at the other. Heading north, markers are green to port with odd numbers and red to starboard. In places, up to 13 markers can be seen at one time, all flashing red or green. At night it is hard to tell which are closer. In fog, they can't be seen at all, and it's best to wait until they can. Ranges, also known as leading marks, delineate the course between beacons. At marker 58 we are off the town of Petersburg. On this occasion we do not stop, but dally long enough for me to transmit my blog by email. Buoy 62 marks the northern end of the Narrows. It is always occupied by seals. It is here I have the feeling that this is the real start to Alaska. Concealed behind these clouds are huge snow-capped mountains and glaciers. We anchor for the night in Chatham Bay, where a dramatic sunset colours the sky. We have been watching for whales and other wildlife ever since leaving Vancouver Island, but having now reached prime whale-watching territory, our collective eyes eagerly search the waters under perfect conditions. Thus far, my experience with whale watching has been limited to frustrating glimpses, a fin, a tail, or a blow. This pattern continues as we proceed down Frederick Sound, around the Five Fingers Islands and Lighthouse. Pacific white-sided dolphins briefly weave intricate patterns around Venture's bow. In Chatham Strait, a humpback whale performs a series of snaps with his slender pectoral fins. Research has shown that the knobs on the leading edge reduce drag by 32%, provide 8% improvement in lift, and an increased angle of attack by 40%, together contributing tighter circles in bubble net feeding, an activity we hope to observe. Suddenly, without warning, a full breach. Just one. A miracle to catch on camera. We explore every inlet along the east coast of beautiful and dramatic Baranof Island, which I will cover in detail in a later video. In Patterson Bay, we happen across the unusual sight of a single humpbacked bubble feeding entirely on his or her own. This one whale beautifully illustrates this technique, in which usually a group of whales dive beneath a school of fish and swim in an ever-shrinking circle, blowing bubbles from their blowholes. This column of bubbles surrounds the school, forcing the fish upward, corralling them into a group through which the whales erupt en masse with their mouths wide open. Later, in Chatham Strait and Freshwater Bay on Ketchikan Island, we observe large pods of whales engaged in a series of determined and multiple feeding hunts using this dramatic technique. With perseverance and luck, our search for whales has been successful.